So yeah, let me. Okay, so as Digvijay told, my name is Aswin Gopinathan. I'm a software engineer at. I know it's a Saturday morning, and you might all be like lying on your bed, right? It's a lazy Monday. I mean Saturday morning, and yeah, even I was in my bed actually an hour ago, but I had to get up and come over here. So in the next 15 minutes, you're gonna learn about Dartfire. So, you all might be familiar with Flutterfire, right? So, it's just a name given to Firebase integration for Flutter application. So, what is this Dartfire then? It's simple. It's a Firebase integration for your Dart application. Okay, now you're confused. Isn't Flutter also a Dart application? Absolutely, it is. But let me show you an example. Let me open IntelliJ and I'll create a new project. So, what we all do is we click on the Flutter option over here and then we go Dart over here, which actually provides template for 5 applications built using pure Dart. There's no Flutter code in that. I mean, there's no framework code over there, just pure native Dart. So the applications are simple console applications, then not so simple console applications, Dart packages, web servers, and barebone web app. So this is what I call a Dart application. Flutter is also a Dart application, I understand, but this is just native Dart application. So in this session, you're going to learn about Firebase integration for these Dart applications. So before you start with that, I want to explain you a concept which I have been exploring recently. It is Dart as a backend. So, as the name suggests, you can use Dart as a backend language. Let's see what are the popular backend languages. We have Python, we have PHP, we have Java, we have Go. Then there are like Ruby on Rails, and the list goes on. But we're going to add Dart to this list as well. So this is the concept behind Dart as a backend. I've been personally using Dart for many of my backend services, and I can really endorse Dart for as a backend language. Now, what if I say you can build the following using Dart? If you want to like build custom APIs for a project, imagine you went to a hackathon and you're just a Flutter developer. You just know how to write beautiful Flutter applications, but you need some APIs for a project, and you cannot use external APIs. So what will you do in that case? You're gonna build custom APIs using Dart. Second use case, you can create a Twitter bot that retweets the hashtag Dart as a backend. Or you can create a Discord bot for your Discord server that greets new members to a server. And the list goes on and on and on. And it's like you can literally use Dart for many of your backend services. But where does Firebase come in the picture? So remember how you used to integrate Firebase with the Flutter applications? You go to Firebase console, you create new projects, right? So this is something you might have come across while creating Firebase projects for your Android as well as iOS apps. So what was the end product for for this screen? It was two files, that is Google Services.json file for Android and Google Services info.plist file for iOS. But what do we do for pure Dart application? There's no project for pure Dart, right? If you go to Firebase console, you might see applications for Android, iOS, and web. What do you do for pure Dart application? For that, we use. Let me show you the package. So, this is the package that we'll be using for integrating Firebase in our Dart application. So, as the documentation says, it's a pure Dart implementation of the Firebase client. So, currently, it supports only three of the functionalities: authentication, real-time database, and cloud storage. So, this is how you're gonna integrate Firebase in your Dart application. So, let's see an example. I'll be creating a basic web server. Let me name it Firebase demo. Everything is perfect. Let's finish. So this is a server template code which the application generates for you. If you want to know how this works, I've written some couple of articles on how you can get started with Dart server and building APIs. So it's very simple. If you're a beginner to Dart, this is something you can actually get started with for backend services. So for now, let's integrate our Firebase Dart application. So I'll be copying this version. Let's go to pubspec.yaml file, pubget. Okay, so it's added. Now let's go to server.dart file. So as you all know, in Flutter application, the entry point will be the main.dart file in the lib folder. Similarly, in Dart application, the entry point is for specifically Dart server application, the entry point is server.dart file inside the bin folder. And obviously, you know what is void main, right? This is where the entire magic is happening in Dart. So now let's read the documentation what it says. Obviously, you have to write the import statement, right? So let's write the import. It's Firebase dart. Okay, let's choose which one to go ahead. Go with the basic Firebase dart. Yeah, all right. So before you start integrating Firebase to your application, the first thing you have to do is set up the Firebase instance in your application. So for that, we write this particular step. So it should always be at the initial point when you start running the program. So our entry point will be the void main function. So we write here, we'll just paste it over here. We can remove this part because we don't need any caching as of now. So we'll just remove this entire part. So this will actually do the trick for us. So just run the application. So it hosted on localhost 8080. Let me open that. Yeah. So this is how a basic Dart server application works using the template code. But now let's do one thing. Let me create a new Firebase application. So, as per the documentation, what it says is that you need the API keys and every credentials you get from Firebase in order to initialize Firebase in your application. So for that, let's go to console. Um, I have a demo project over here. In order to get the credential, one easy way is to click on Add App, go to Web, just give some random name here. Let's say demo. You don't have to create the application, just click on demo and press register. Now you will be able to get all the credentials you need for your data application. So just copy this entire code, then you can just cancel this setup. Here, let's create a new class. Let's name it dot file. Let's create a new class config. I'm gonna paste it over here. So I have to use, yeah, sorry. This is just basic JSON syntax. Okay. Now we need to remove this double quote so that the link doesn't give me any errors. So I'll just use regex and yeah, replace all. Perfect. Yeah. So the configurations are ready. Now let's see the documentation, like what we have to do next. So in order to initialize a file, So let's do one thing. Shall we write it? This. So this is what echoes the entire output to your console that you are actually seeing when you run the application. Just a minute. So let me tell you a brief about how this works. So let's say this is the API that is running. If I type something like slash Ashwin, it's gonna return Ashwin over here. So this is what's happening over here. Whatever you send in the link, that is the URL, it's gonna get stored in the variable request.url and it's gonna be echoed to the screen. And this, I mean, obviously we know that the server request and we respond. I mean, we request and the server responds with the output, right? So the response will be of type OK. OK means 200, right? The status code 200. So OK will return a text which will have request for whatever we send in the link. So let's do one thing. Let's write the configuration code over here. I forgot. Yeah, I copied it. Let's paste it over here. Wait, I need to use async json.decode. Yeah. So what happens over here is that we are initializing using the configuration data we are stored over here. We have stored over here. So, but here it's randomly coming from somewhere. Just remove. Let's remove this part. We'll write here config dot. I think I didn't import it. Yeah, config dot. Uh, what was it? Firebase. Firebase config. Sorry, Firebase config. So this is gonna something I missed out, I guess. Yeah. So this is gonna initialize the entire Firebase app using the configuration here. All right. Now this is gonna return an error because we need to use future. Perfect. Let's run this app. Let's make sure that there's no errors. Okay, it's working perfectly. Great. Now let's integrate our real real-time database in this. So as you can scroll down, you can find some code for real-time database here. So this will create an object of type Firebase database, which will take as input the initialized app Firebase application. So once that is ready, let's write something. We need to pass the DB URL, right? So for that, let's go to Firebase. Let's create. It's not Fire. It's real-time database. Sorry. So I already have some data, I guess. Yeah, some random data I have. I'll just copy the DB URL. Let's go to configuration. Over here, let's add, no, not here, static const, let's say db URL. We pasted the db URL over here. Get the same. Let's just a minute. Yeah, we need to pass it over here itself. That is database URL equal to config dot db URL. So what we did is we copied the database URL, we pasted in our configuration file, we use a static file so that we can directly access without creating an object for the class. Then we are accessing that URL in the Firebase database object, so that we are telling the what's it, the compiler that we are using this particular Firebase app and we are using the database URL that is provided for this particular application. So once that is done, we can write code for printing whatever is there in the database. So for that, we use something like we need to first reference dot child. So the first child is characters over here. So we write here characters, then once dot then. Now we're just gonna print the value whatever was there. Print value dot value. So it's gonna return some okay lending issues. I think we have to write await. Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, okay. So let's rerun the application. So I'm gonna open 8080 again. Everything ran properly, and let's check over here. So this is the output that we got. So this is actually fetched from the database over here. Just a minute. So the database contains Gunther 34, and the same data was retrieved over here. This is how you connect Firebase database in your application. So apart from real-time database, you can actually connect cloud storage. You can actually even perform authentication as well. So if you're building an application that contains some authentication for users, I mean, if you're building some APIs that require authentication, you can integrate Firebase authentication for that. Then you can use real-time database for your CRUD operations like create, read, update, and delete. So this is basically how Firebase Dart lets us just a minute. Firebase Dart lets us create, I mean, integrate Firebase in our Dart application. I mean, um, wasn't that really amazing? Like, there's one actually catch for Firebase Dart package. You can literally use more than one Firebase project for a Dart application. I know, I know you can use the same for Flutter apps as well, but when it comes to integrating multiple Firebase projects for a Dart app, it makes really the integration really easy for us. That's one amazing thing like that I like about Firebase Dart. That's actually the end of this session. So, if you would like to connect with me for further, I mean, if you want to know further about Dartfire, or if you would like to know about Dart as a backend, you can connect with me on Twitter. Or if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Practical Day or somewhere else, you can just Google search my name, and you can just redirect to those links. So yeah, that's basically from my side. Thank you so much.